The galaxy was full of life, filled with ancient empires and powerful fleets. Creatures from 1,000 different worlds traveled the stars, and in their eyes humans were nothing special. Earth was a small blue planet circling an ordinary sun, and for centuries the Galactic Empire had ignored it. To them, humanity was young, reckless, and too weak to matter. Yet one day everything changed. It began with a sound, not a sound of ears, but a signal carried across every galactic channel. Alien ships traveling in the void suddenly caught the same message on their comms. Stations orbiting distant stars stopped as the transmission forced its way through. Even the proud admirals of the Galactic Empire froze when they heard the words a calm human voice spoke. Steady, strong, without fear, it said. By decree of Terra, no ship of the Galactic Empire shall cross into Terran space. For a moment there was silence across the stars. Then came disbelief. How could humans dare to speak this way? Captains of massive warships laughed. Their crew members exchanged mocking glances. To challenge the Empire was madness. The Empire ruled thousands of worlds, crushed rebellions without mercy, enslaved races that resisted. They were the law of the galaxy, and yet here was Earth, a single world, telling them to stay away. The first reaction was laughter. Alien diplomats chuckled when they repeated the message in the Galactic Council. Senators mocked humans as the bold monkeys of Sol. But beneath the laughter, unease began to spread. The voice of the message was calm, too calm, not the desperate cry of a weak species, but the confident tone of someone who knew something the others did not. And when the transmission ended, it did not repeat, humans did not explain, did not plead, they left only silence. In that silence, fear began to take root. Small species who lived in the shadow of the Empire whispered to one another, if humans had the courage to defy the Empire, maybe they had power too. Some remembered strange stories, tales of human soldiers who fought like demons in distant wars, whispers of experiments on Mars, rumors of weapons hidden in the asteroid belt. The Empire dismissed these as nonsense, but the smaller nations listened carefully. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity was watching too. Governments united in a way never seen before. Leaders of once hostile nations sat side by side, their eyes fixed on the stars. Humanity had been silent for years, building, preparing, waiting. The warning they had sent was not empty. Behind it was the weight of secret technology, mysterious weapons never tested in open battle, and fleets hidden far from alien eyes. The Empire, however, only saw arrogance. To them, Earth was an insect, and insects must be crushed when they bite. Already admirals were drawing plans. Fleets were gathering at the edge of Terran space, their ships gleaming with the power of centuries of conquest. The order was simple: enter Sol, silence the humans, remind the galaxy that the Empire fears no one. But still, the memory of the voice lingered. Many alien captains, hardened by decades of service, found themselves uneasy. They remembered the tone, not loud, not angry, just calm. Like a predator waiting in the shadows, some dismissed the feeling. Others secretly wondered if the humans truly were ready. As weeks passed, the galaxy grew restless. Smaller races secretly sent probes near Earth. Most were destroyed before they reached orbit. Others vanished without trace. Whispers grew louder. Some said humans had built weapons that could bend space itself. Others said Earth had allies unknown. Still others believed humans had awakened something ancient. The Empire ignored the rumors. Their pride would not allow fear of a young species. Yet deep within the council halls, even some high lords of the Empire debated in private. Should they take the humans seriously? What if the warning was not a bluff? But in the end, arrogance triumphed. The Empire decided that humans would be made an example. But in that first moment when the words of Earth crossed the stars, history shifted. The galaxy did not know it yet, but a new chapter had begun. For the first time in centuries, the Empire had been challenged openly, and the challenger was not an ancient power, not a great armada, but the people of a small blue planet. The message still echoed in the minds of all who heard it. By decree of Terra, no ship of the Galactic Empire shall cross into Terran space. And though the galaxy laughed, though the Empire prepared its fleets, there were those who wondered, what if the humans were not bluffing? What if they truly meant it? That question hung heavy like a shadow. Across every star system, no one could answer it. Not yet, but all would soon learn, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Empire was not used to being challenged. For thousands of years it had crushed rebellions, burned worlds, and enslaved species that dared to resist. To the Empire, strength was the only law and fear was the only currency. So when Earth sent its message across the stars declaring Terran space forbidden, the Empire did not feel fear, it felt insult. Inside the grand hall of the Galactic Council, shimmering with crystal walls and floating lights, the alien senators gathered. Creatures of every shape and color, some with wings, others with scales, some towering like mountains, others small and delicate. They all turned their attention to the hologram of Earth's blue sphere. The message played again. The calm human voice filling the chamber. By decree of Terra, no ship of the Galactic Empire shall cross into Terran space, and when it ended, silence followed. Then laughter rolled through the hall. Arrogance, hissed a serpent-like senator, his scales glittering in the light. They believe a single planet can stand against the throne. Another senator with golden eyes chuckled. Humans are bold monkeys, little more. Even the High Lords of the Empire smiled, their pride refusing to imagine any danger from such a young species. But not everyone laughed in the shadows of the chamber. Ambassadors of smaller species whispered nervously. Many had been conquered by the Empire long ago. Their histories soaked in blood. They knew what defiance meant, but some of them also remembered rumors, strange tales of humans, stories of battles fought with fury, of a species that never surrendered even when defeated. The admirals of the Empire, proud in their glittering armor, dismissed such rumors. We will enter their system, seize their leaders, and put an end to this foolishness, declared Grand Admiral Sorath, his voice sharp and confident. The council roared in approval. They were convinced Earth would be crushed in days. Still, deep in the far reaches of the galaxy, unease spread. Smugglers and traders spoke in hushed voices about human weapons hidden in the asteroid belt. Mercenaries told of secret human ships spotted beyond Mars. Tales of technology no one had seen before. Some laughed these off. Others wondered if Earth had been preparing in silence. On Earth itself, the warning had already united billions. For centuries, humans had fought one another, divided by borders and nations, but now, for the first time in history, they were united under one banner, the banner of survival. In underground bunkers and orbital stations, leaders and scientists worked side by side, their voices calm, their plans already in motion. Humanity was not seeking war, but it was ready for one. The Galactic Empire, blind in its arrogance, believed victory was inevitable. Fleets were gathered at the edge of Terran space, massive ships stretching across the void, their hulls decorated with banners of conquest, their engines glowing with power. To the Empire, this was not war, it was punishment. A lesson to teach the galaxy that defiance would not be tolerated. Yet whispers of doubt refused to die on a desert moon. A veteran alien captain told his crew, "I do not like this silence, humans should beg, but they do not. They should tremble, but they are calm. This is not weakness, this is something else." His words unsettled them, but no one dared to speak against the Empire. When the orders were finally given, cheers erupted from the Imperial fleet. Admirals promised swift victory. Soldiers prepared to land on Earth's surface, confident they would return with trophies of war. Alien worlds tuned into the live feeds, eager to watch the humiliation of a primitive world. The entire galaxy waited for the show of force, but in the quiet corners of the stars, among the enslaved and the forgotten, hope flickered. If Earth could stand against the Empire even for a short time, it would mean something no one had dared to believe. It would mean the Empire was not invincible. It would mean change was possible. The humans, however, spoke no further words. They did not explain, they did not plead. The single warning was enough, and in that silence, the galaxy grew restless at last. The first wave of Imperial ships entered Terran space, their engines burning bright, their weapons armed, their banners raised high. But waiting for them was not fear, not desperation, only silence. And silence in war is a dangerous thing. The admirals laughed again. They saw no fleets ahead, no human defenses. Only the emptiness of space. "Oh, fools," one muttered. "They think hiding will save them." But somewhere deep inside, even the proudest among them remembered the calm voice, the warning that had echoed across the stars. And though they mocked, they could not shake the memory. For the first time in ages, the Empire would not be the hunter. It would be the prey, though they did not yet know it. And as the stars watched, as the smaller species whispered and waited, as the Empire marched forward with arrogance and pride, Earth prepared to show the galaxy why it had dared. The warning had been given, the Empire had ignored it, and now, the stage was set for a confrontation, that would shake the galaxy forever. Far beyond the eyes of the galaxy, Earth was not silent because it was weak. Earth was silent because it was ready. For years, humanity had lived under the gaze of alien explorers, ships from the Empire passing by, scanning, studying, dismissing them as primitive. Yet in the shadows, humanity was building, preparing, waiting. And now the time had come to show what that silence meant. In orbit around Earth, the planet looked peaceful, oceans glimmering, clouds swirling in calm patterns. To outsiders it seemed like any other young world. But hidden behind that beauty was a shield of steel and fire. Stations disguised as simple satellites floated quietly, their surfaces plain, their energy signatures muted, but deep within them hummed strange engines, weapons that had never been revealed. Beyond the asteroid belt, among the silent rocks, fleets rested in shadow, not fleets of millions, not endless armadas like the Empire, but sleek Terran warships sharp like blades, waiting with their lights off, hidden silent hunters of the void. Their designs were nothing like the bulky vessels of the Empire. They were smaller, faster, shaped for precision, not brute force. Their crews sat in silence, watching the stars, waiting for the order that would change everything. On the moon, massive hangars stretched beneath the surface. Machines whirred, engineers moved swiftly. Entire cities worked day and night in secret. Here humanity had forged weapons the galaxy had never imagined. Rail cannons capable of splitting dreadnoughts, beams that could slice through hulls like paper, gravity projectors that could twist metal into nothing. The weapons were not for conquest, but for survival, for the one moment when Earth would need them most. Within the war rooms deep beneath Earth's surface, leaders sat together. Old enemies who once hated each other now united, their voices low, their decisions quick. There were no speeches of glory, no promises of conquest, only determination. They knew the Empire was coming. They knew the Empire would not forgive the warning. But they also knew something else. Humanity was no longer the prey. Humanity was ready to be the predator. Across the planet, ordinary people prepared too. Not with fear, but with resolve, in cities lit by neon and steel. In villages tucked under green hills, in stations above the atmosphere, people watched the skies. They knew the Empire would come. But they trusted in the defenders who had trained for this day. Humanity had always fought against impossible odds, and this time would be no different. The galaxy still believed humans were defenseless. The Empire laughed at their warning, but in secret. Terran fleets had been training for years. In simulations and drills, they studied every tactic of the Empire. They learned how to fight larger ships with fewer numbers, how to strike where it hurt most, how to make fear itself a weapon. They had no intention of matching the Empire ship for ship. Instead, they would fight like wolves, silent, precise, deadly. Whispers of these preparations had leaked into the galaxy. Smugglers spoke of human ships vanishing into shadows. Traders claimed they had seen lights flicker near Jupiter. Mercenaries swore they had heard of battles fought in secret against unknown machines. The Empire dismissed it all as superstition. But smaller nations listened, and some began to hope. Inside the hidden Terran command stations, the soldiers were calm. Many were young, many had never seen real combat in space, yet their eyes were steady. They had trained too long to doubt. They had seen simulations of Empire fleets, studied weaknesses, memorized maneuvers. The thought of facing the mighty Empire did not fill them with terror. It filled them with purpose, and at the center of it all, orbiting high above the blue planet, sat the Terran flagship, the Aegis, dark and silent, her hull black like the void, her weapons hidden, her engines dormant. To passing eyes she seemed a dead ship. But inside her halls humans waited, engineers tending to humming cores, captains whispering orders, soldiers sharpening their focus. When the time came, Aegis would rise, and the galaxy would remember her name. The Empire did not know. The Empire believed it would march unopposed. It believed Earth's silence meant fear. But in truth, that silence was a trap. Every human ship, every hidden weapon, every station cloaked in shadow was a piece of a larger design, a net of steel waiting to snap shut the moment the Empire crossed the forbidden line. For humanity had studied the galaxy long before the galaxy noticed them. They had learned its arrogance, its patterns, its weaknesses, and though they lacked the numbers, they had something more. Creativity, resilience, the will to fight, traits that no empire could ever measure. In the quiet of space, the Terran fleets did not boast. They did not broadcast threats. They only waited. The calm before the storm, and across the galaxy, among the oppressed, among the enslaved, among the forgotten, whispers spread faster. They said humanity was too calm, too still. They said Earth had secrets. They said the silence was not weakness. It was strength. The Empire could not see it. But the galaxy was already changing, in the hearts of those who listened. The warning of Earth was no longer a joke, it was a promise. And promises from a species like humanity were not made lightly. The defenders of Earth stood ready, unseen but unshaken. And when the Empire crossed the line, when the mighty fleets entered Terran space, the galaxy would witness the power hidden behind that silence, and nothing would ever be the same again. The border of Terran space was invisible to most eyes, a line drawn not on maps but in the minds of those who had heard the warning. To the Galactic Empire it was nothing but empty stars. No walls, no defenses, nothing they could see. Yet it carried the weight of defiance, and soon the Empire would cross it. The fleet was vast, dreadnoughts the size of cities, cruisers armed with enough firepower to reduce continents to ash, carriers that held entire wings of fighters. The armada moved like a storm through the void, confident, unstoppable, their banners glowing with the golden crest of the Empire. For centuries, no world had withstood such power, and the admirals expected nothing different this time. From their command bridges, alien officers sneered at the memory of Earth's warning. A single world defying us, one scoffed. We will crush them before their sun completes another turn. The crews cheered. Soldiers sharpened their blades, pilots prepared their wings. Arrogance filled the fleet like fuel, but as they advanced closer to the Sol system, the silence unsettled them. There were no human ships patrolling the border, no transmissions begging for mercy, only the emptiness of deep space. Some captains expected to find fleets waiting, but nothing appeared. It was as if Earth had abandoned its words, as if the warning had been a hollow bluff. The first ships crossed the border without resistance. The line was broken, the decree ignored. Terran space had been entered. On alien channels, laughter erupted. They mocked the humans, calling them cowards, but the admirals gave strict orders. The fleet was to advance with caution, not out of fear, but out of pride. They wanted to record every moment. They wanted the galaxy to see humanity's humiliation. Hours passed and still no resistance. The fleet approached Neptune, then Uranus. Massive worlds drifting in their quiet orbits, scanners detected nothing but dust. Gas and rings, the admirals grew bold. See, one declared. Their silence is surrender. And yet, beneath the pride, unease still gnawed at some of the crews. When the first human ship appeared, it was almost too quiet to notice, a single vessel, small compared to the massive Empire dreadnoughts. It drifted near the shadow of Neptune, its hull black, its lights dim, as if it were part of the void itself. At first the admirals dismissed it. A scout perhaps, or a relic. Destroy it, one ordered. But before the order could be carried out, more appeared. Not hundreds. Not thousands, only a handful, each sleek, each sharp. Their designs unlike anything the Empire had seen, they moved with eerie silence. No grand engines blazing, no signals broadcasting, only the cold presence of predators. The Empire fleet mocked them again. A few ships dare to face us? An admiral laughed. This is not war, this is execution. Their weapons began to charge. Cannons humming with energy, missiles locking targets, fighters launching from carriers. The void filled with the movement of war, and then a human voice spoke across the channel. Clear, calm, steady, not loud, not desperate. Just the voice of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen. You were warned. The words silenced the fleet. Soldiers paused, pilots froze. Admirals narrowed their eyes, anger flashing through them. The arrogance of humans daring to speak to the Empire in such a way was unforgivable. But beneath the anger was something deeper, a chill. For the voice was not afraid. It carried no tremor, no weakness. It was the voice of a predator speaking to prey. The admirals gave the order. Fire. Thousands of weapons lit up the void. Beams of energy cutting across the darkness. Missiles streaking through space, fighters swarming ahead. The Empire unleashed its fury on the small fleet. The galaxy watched through the eyes of the broadcast, convinced that Earth's defenders would be vaporized in an instant. The Terran ships moved, not sluggish, not heavy, but with terrifying speed, like shadows slipping through water. Beams that should have struck cleanly bent away. Missiles that should have destroyed them vanished in sudden flashes of light. Fighters pursuing them found themselves flying into traps of invisible energy. In the heart of the battle, the lead human ship did not fire at first. It only glided forward, drawing the attention of the enemy. Then its weapons came alive, not in a blaze of light, but in silent, precise bursts. Beams that tore through armored hulls like paper. Blasts that split dreadnoughts in half. The galaxy gasped. Across the stars, the broadcast showed Empire ships crumbling. Admirals shouting in disbelief, "Impossible!" they screamed. Primitive humans cannot have this power. But their voices were drowned out by explosions, by the deaths of ships that had never known defeat. Still, the Terran fleet was small. Still, the Empire outnumbered them 100-1. And yet the calm voice echoed once again. You were warned. The first strike of the humans was not about victory. It was about proof. Proof that Earth's warning was not empty. Proof that Terran space was not free to enter. Proof that the galaxy had underestimated a species that had always fought hardest when cornered. As the battle raged, as the Empire tried to regroup, the truth became clear. The line had been crossed, and now there was no turning back. The age of silence was over. The humans had revealed their fangs, and the galaxy would never look at them the same again. The moment the first shots were exchanged, the emptiness of Terran space turned into a storm. The Empire had expected a swift execution, a lesson for the galaxy to laugh at. But what followed was nothing like the admirals had imagined. Instead of weak resistance, instead of helpless fire, the humans fought with a kind of precision the galaxy had never seen. The Empire's dreadnoughts roared forward, weapons glowing, their cannons unleashing torrents of energy strong enough to shatter moons. Fighters poured out like swarms of insects, filling the void with trails of light. From the outside it looked unstoppable, the kind of power that had broken countless civilizations before. But the Terran fleet did not panic. They did not scatter. They moved as one, quiet, sharp, and terrifying. The Aegis, black and silent, cut through the darkness, its engines flaring with a sudden burst of light. It led the charge, and as the Empire focused its fire on the flagship, something strange happened. Beams meant to tear it apart vanished in shimmering distortions. Missiles exploded before impact, as if space itself rejected them. The crews of the Empire shouted in confusion, "Their shields are impossible." But the humans did not answer. They simply attacked. Terran ships struck not with overwhelming numbers, but with precision. A single rail cannon round pierced an Imperial cruiser and tore through its core. The vessel split apart in silence, its debris drifting like broken glass. Another human vessel released gravity projectors, invisible fields that twisted metal, collapsing an Empire destroyer as if it were made of paper. A third ship launched drones so small they were invisible to sensors, slipping inside enemy hulls before detonating. The admirals screamed orders, desperate to adjust. Surround them, overwhelm them. But no matter how many ships advanced, the humans seemed to always move one step ahead. Like wolves circling prey too slow to react, the battle became chaos. Fighters from the Empire swarmed toward the Terrans, but the human pilots flew differently, sharper, faster. Their maneuvers impossible to predict. One by one, Imperial fighters vanished in fire. The few survivors screamed warnings. They're everywhere. They're inside our formations, but no one could save them. Then came the moment that shook the galaxy. The humans unleashed a weapon no one had ever seen. A pulse of silent energy rippled outward from the Aegis. Not bright, not loud, but devastating. Entire rows of Empire ships froze, their engines dead, their weapons cold, as if some unseen hand had crushed their power. Before the crews could react, the Terran fleet tore them apart piece by piece. For centuries, the Empire had ruled through terror, its fleets invincible, its armies unstoppable. Yet here in the silence of Terran space, the unthinkable happened. The Empire bled. Dreadnoughts shattered, cruisers burned, carriers exploded in bright blossoms of fire. The arrogance that filled the alien officers drained into horror. The galaxy watched through broadcasts stolen by smugglers and relayed across secret channels. Countless eyes saw what no one thought possible. Humans were winning not through numbers, not through brute strength, but through cunning, through weapons no one had imagined, through a refusal to bow on the bridge of one Empire flagship. The Admiral's hands shook, his voice cracking. This cannot be. They are primitives. They are nothing. But the screens in front of him told the truth. His fleet was dying. The human spoke again. The same calm voice as before. This is your lesson. Terran space is forbidden. The words carried not pride, not rage, but certainty. A certainty that terrified those who heard it. Still the Empire pushed forward, pride refusing to let them retreat. More ships advanced, their guns blazing, but each wave was met with the same fate. Cut apart, dismantled, broken. The humans did not waste fire. Every shot had purpose. Every strike hit where it hurt most amid the chaos. One Imperial captain realized the truth. We cannot win, not here. not against them. But before he could retreat, his ship split in half. The battle was not endless. It did not stretch for days like the wars of the Empire. It lasted only hours. And when it ended, silence returned to Terran space, but the silence was different now. Broken ships floated in the void. Wreckage glittered like stars, and among them, only Terran vessels remained whole. The galaxy could not believe it. Never before had the Empire been defeated so quickly. Never before had a single world resisted and lived. Whispers spread faster than fire. Whispers of humans who had broken the unbreakable. For the survivors of the Empire fleet, the terror was burned into their memory. They had seen weapons that should not exist, tactics they could not counter, a calm enemy that showed no fear, and as they fled back into the stars, they carried with them a message the galaxy would not forget. Earth had fought the Empire and Earth had won, and yet, the humans did not chase them. They did not seek to conquer. Their ships did not pursue the fleeing survivors. They only returned to silence, guarding their world, guarding their space, letting the galaxy wonder, letting the galaxy fear. The battle of Terran space was over, but it was not the end. It was only the beginning. Word of the battle did not stay hidden. Across the galaxy, whispers turned into shouts. The impossible had happened. The Empire, the eternal master of the stars, had been defeated not by another empire, not by a coalition of ancient races, but by the humans of Earth. A species the galaxy had mocked as young, reckless and weak. Now everyone was listening. The survivors of the Imperial fleet limped back through space, their ships broken, their hulls scarred, their crews silent when they arrived at outposts beyond Terran space. Their stories spread like wildfire. Captains who once boasted of their strength now spoke with trembling voices. Soldiers who once laughed at Earth now shivered when its name was spoken. They told of weapons that twisted reality, of ships that moved like shadows, of a voice that warned them again and again, and they swore those words were more terrifying than the guns. In the great markets of the galaxy, traders gathered to exchange the news in smoky bars and crowded docks. Smugglers whispered, "Did you hear? The humans destroyed an Empire fleet." Mercenaries who once dreamed of working for the Empire now wondered if their future lay with Earth. Ordinary people in enslaved systems passed the tale like a secret prayer, a story of hope they had never dared to believe. The Empire, furious and humiliated, tried to silence the news. They declared the battle a lie. They told the galaxy it was nothing but a trick, propaganda spread by human sympathizers. But the wreckage floating in Terran space told the truth. Smugglers and rebels broadcast images of shattered dreadnoughts, broken cruisers, and Terran ships gliding proudly among them. The Empire could not erase those images. Then the humans spoke again. Not just to the Empire, but to the entire galaxy. A transmission that reached every world, every station, every ship. The same calm voice filled the void once more. "We do not seek war, but we will not bow. Terran space is forbidden. Any who cross will not return." The message was short, simple, but it carried more weight than 1,000 speeches. It was not the roar of conquerors. It was the steady voice of guardians. Humans were not claiming the galaxy. They were only protecting their own home. Across distant worlds, smaller species felt their hearts stir. For generations they had lived under the iron boot of the Empire, their hopes crushed, their dreams silenced. But now they whispered to each other, "If humans can resist, why not us?" On worlds where rebellion had died, sparks were lit once again in slave camps where despair ruled. Prisoners looked to the stars and dared to believe. Among the great powers outside the Empire, rulers and councils watched with interest. Some saw danger, some saw opportunity. A new player had risen in the galaxy, one who did not bend, one who did not beg. For centuries, these powers had stayed clear of the Empire's wrath. But now they wondered, should they approach Earth? Should they ally with the Terrans before it was too late? Inside the Empire itself, chaos brewed, admirals argued, senators shouted. The High Lords demanded explanations. How could a primitive world destroy their proud fleet? Pride clashed with fear. Some demanded a larger invasion. Others whispered that to push further would invite disaster. For the first time in centuries, the Empire was divided. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity remained silent. There were no celebrations, no great parades. The defenders returned to their stations. The fleets returned to shadow. Leaders met quietly, their words measured, their plans careful. They knew the galaxy was watching, and they knew victory in one battle did not mean safety forever. But the humans also knew something more. The galaxy now feared them, and fear could be as strong as any weapon. In the halls of forgotten colonies, in the slave pits of conquered worlds, the story spread faster and faster. Humans had faced the Empire and survived. Humans had sent a message that could not be ignored. Hope began to glow where it had long been extinguished. The calm voice echoed in countless minds. We do not seek war, but we will not bow. It was more than a warning, it was a promise that somewhere in the stars there was a people who would not kneel, who would not break, who would not be silenced. The Empire tried to roar louder, sending out fleets to patrol, burning small rebellions before they grew, but everywhere they went, they found whispers, songs of Earth, secret chants of Terra. Fear that once kept billions in chains was no longer enough, because now they had seen that even the mighty Empire could bleed. And in the shadows of the galaxy, envoys began their journeys. Secret ships launched from hidden bases, carrying messages, carrying offers, carrying pleas. They traveled toward the forbidden space, hoping to reach Earth, hoping to speak with the humans. Some sought alliances, some sought protection, some sought revenge against the Empire. The galaxy had changed forever, and all because one world had dared to say no. The humans had spoken, and the stars would never forget. The galaxy had never known silence like this after the Battle of Terran space, after the message that echoed through every world. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. The Empire, once unshakable, once feared beyond question, was reeling, its fleets broken, its pride scarred, its people whispering the unthinkable. That the humans of Earth had done what no one else dared. They had stood against the throne, and they had won in the great halls of the Empire. Anger burned hotter than suns. The High Lord shouted, some demanded vengeance. Others demanded caution. Their voices clashed like storms. The admirals argued too, pride battling with fear. They wanted to launch another invasion. Larger, deadlier, but they could not agree. For every voice that called Earth weak, another whispered of the terror of that calm human warning, of weapons that bent reality, of ships that moved like shadows. The Empire was mighty still, but the seed of doubt had been planted, and even the strongest tree can fall if the roots rot. While the Empire argued, the galaxy moved. In the slave worlds at the edge of its reach, hope flickered like fire in the dark. For centuries chains had bound them, but now whispers filled the air. The humans defied them. The humans fought back. The humans bled the Empire, and hope is dangerous. Hope can spark rebellion, and rebellion can spread across neutral systems. Rulers and councils debated in secret chambers. Some feared Earth, some admired them, but none ignored them. Envoys were dispatched in stealth ships. Some carried offers of alliance. Others carried desperate pleas for protection. Humanity had become the center of attention, no longer dismissed as a primitive people on a small blue world. Now they were seen as a force, a rising power in the galaxy's game of empires. On Earth itself there was no arrogance, no cries of conquest. The people did not dream of ruling the stars. They dreamed only of survival. Yet their leaders understood the truth. The galaxy was watching. The oppressed were listening. The Empire was plotting, and the future would not wait. They had stepped into history, and there was no stepping back. The Terran fleets remained hidden, silent defenders in the dark. The Aegis floated above Earth like a shadow, its crew calm, its weapons ready. The soldiers drilled, the engineers worked, the scientists pushed further. Humanity knew the Empire would not forget. It would return stronger, angrier, and when it did, Earth would need to be ready again. But something new had begun, something even the humans had not expected. Ships from distant worlds began to arrive at the edge of Terran space, not warships but envoys, small vessels carrying flags of truce, carrying messages of hope. The first was from a small aquatic species long enslaved by the Empire. They begged for help, not weapons, not soldiers, only the knowledge of how humans had resisted. The next came from a desert world stripped of its resources, its people broken. They offered loyalty if Earth would protect them, and more followed one after another. Drawn by the spark that Terra had lit, the humans listened, cautious, wary. They did not trust easily. They did not seek to rule, but they also did not turn them away. For the first time, humanity began to realize that its fight was larger than survival. It was becoming a symbol, a beacon in a galaxy drowning in fear. The Empire watched this with fury. Its spies reported the growing whispers. Its admirals begged to attack again, to crush Earth before it could rise further. But the High Lords hesitated. The loss of the First Fleet still haunted them. The thought of another humiliation kept their blades sheathed for now. And so the galaxy shifted, slowly but surely a new balance forming. Humans had not conquered worlds, had not enslaved species, had not claimed thrones, but their defiance alone had broken the myth of the Empire's invincibility. And myths are sometimes stronger than weapons. On Earth, a child looked up at the night sky and asked, "Will they come again?" And the answer was yes. The Empire would come again, but this time, humanity would not be alone, for in the darkness of space, new friends were watching, new allies were waiting, and new enemies were fearing. The dawn of a new order had begun, not with the rise of a conqueror, but with the refusal of a people to kneel. Earth had declared its space forbidden, and the galaxy had listened. The future was uncertain. War would come again. The Empire would not forgive, but no matter what lay ahead, one truth could not be erased. The humans of Earth had changed the stars forever. And somewhere in the endless void, the calm voice echoed once more,